Is FTR considering a possible return to WWE with 1 year left on their AEW contracts? Matt Cardona disputes reports he could be going back to WWE, claiming that Zack Ryder, former WWE superstar, is dead. We've got an update on the Karl Anderson New Japan Pro Wrestling situation. Bianca Belair is set for action on tonight's edition of Monday Night Raw, and Cora Jade dresses up as AJ Lee. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of WWE. So let's start off talking about FTR, formerly known as The Revival. Of course, they won every single tag team championships available in WWE, that being the Raw Tag Team Championships, the SmackDown Tag Team Championships, the NXT Tag Team Championships. Now they're holding nearly every championship available in the world of tag team wrestling outside of WWE. They're the IWGP Tag Team Champions, the AAA Tag Team Champions, the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions, former AEW World Tag Team Champions in their own right as well. But could they be on the verge, or at least considering, a return to their former employers? Well, Dax Howard and Cash Wheeler, the team known as FTR, have had quite an impressive 2022 together. The team currently holding, as I mentioned, the IWGP, ROH, and AAA World Tag Team Championships. FTR have one simple goal: to be the best tag team in the world, and this year they have proved that they are very much in the conversation for that accolade, if not at the very top, accumulating epic tag team encounters against the likes of the Briscoes, the Young Bucks, and Aussie Open, and many, many more. FTR, of course, this past week on Dynamite, attempted to earn a shot at the Acclaim's AEW World Tag Team Championship at Full Gear. However, they came up short against Swerve in Our Glory due to interference from the Gun Club, who were at ringside. Dax Howard took to Instagram over the weekend, looking back at many of the tag team's best matches throughout their career, dating back to their time as the Revival in NXT, and addressed they may be ready for one last night or one last run. He wrote, quote, "All we've ever wanted to do in life was be a professional wrestler. Height, body type, accent, life situations, we've had it all against us. Now we leave a body of work I think we can be proud of. When we started this journey in 2014, we tried to make sure we were always different from everyone else wrestling currently. We also wanted to work so hard that eventually we'd go down as one of the greatest tag teams to ever do it. I'm not sure if we've reached that yet, but damn sure we'll keep trying. Thank you for going on this journey with us. Not sure where the next few years take us, but I can't wait for one last run. Top guys out," end quote. FTR, when it comes to their current contractual situation and their contractual status with All Elite Wrestling, they're actually under contract to AEW until next year, but with speculation about Triple H, Paul Levesque, WWE's chief content officer, possibly bringing the team back to WWE once their contract expires, anything certainly could happen in the future for the former NXT and WWE Raw and SmackDown Tag Team Champions. Now, do I expect FTR to return to WWE? Certainly, as is the case with a lot of people and a lot of situations, with Triple H in charge, with Triple H running the creative for the company, with Triple H not only running creative but also determining contracts. This is why Triple H's role in WWE is so important, and it's so important to point all of these situations out when it comes to WWE at the moment, is that yes, in terms of the business side of things, Stephanie McMahon and Nick Khan, they're in control of all that. They're the co-CEOs of the company. But Triple H is the one that truly has all the power in WWE. He's the one that dictates the contracts. He signs off and negotiates all of the contracts for all talent coming in. If a talent's coming into the company, they talk to Triple H. Triple H offers them a salary. Triple H negotiates the amount of dates they're going to work, and Triple H signs off on that. And on top of that, and this is why it makes him so powerful, he's controlling what we see on television every single week. He's writing the shows, he's booking the matches, and he's determining who goes up and who goes down when it comes to the creative finishes. So if Triple H really wants someone to come in, he can pay them a lot of money, and he can always promise them as well, you're going to win matches, or the matches you're going to be involved in are going to be the main event because I have the call on that. And that's what's so important. That's why it was like, negotiating with Vince McMahon in the past, because he's the one that has the ultimate say. Now, Triple H has the ultimate say. And Vince McMahon's perception of tag team wrestling is far different to Triple H's perception of tag team wrestling. Vince McMahon's perspective on tag team wrestling was that it was an expense. This is the way he thought of it. I think it's Bruce Pritchard and Jim Ross and everyone else that's got their podcast nowadays has said the same thing. Vince McMahon saw tag team main events as a waste of money because he thought, wait a minute, minute, why should I pay 4 guys to have the same match that 2 guys can? Basically meaning I can have 2 guys in the main event, we can still draw a house, we can still sell pay-per-views, we can still sell tickets, we can still have a desired outcome and the audience can react, and I only have to pay 2 people as opposed to 4 involved in it. And that's why Vince McMahon had his perception of tag team wrestling. Now yes, under the Vince McMahon regime and under the Vince McMahon watch, we saw tag team wrestling go up and down in terms of importance, but ultimately that's why FTR, the Revival, left WWE in the first place. They said to WWE, it's not about money, because they were offered a ton of money by WWE. They said it's not about money, it's about tag team wrestling mattering. And yeah, and they said, oh, we'll make you the champions. They said, we don't care if we're the champions or not. It doesn't matter what bouts we hold. What matters is us having a priority or having an importance on tag team wrestling. And we don't have that in the company right now. I want tag team wrestling to be in the main event, or I want tag team wrestling just to matter and actually have tag team programs and tag team feuds and, you know, again, just have an importance on it, because you can't have watched WWE programming for however many years and seen that tag team wrestling doesn't matter. Now, currently in WWE, does it matter? Well, it's difficult to say, because the tag team wrestling scene is heavily tied up with the Bloodline at the moment. And you could argue, well, the Bloodline are the biggest attraction in WWE at the moment. They're the biggest money-drawing act in the WWE at the moment. And the Usos certainly are right up there as being one of the best tag teams in the world right now. We'll have to wait and see if Triple H is going to have a big push on tag team wrestling. During his time in NXT, of course, there was a huge push on tag team wrestling. You'd have and FTR, the Revival, were heavily involved in it, having fantastic matches against the likes of American Alpha and even the AOP and DIY, etc. There were some real classic tag team matches that FTR were involved in, and I think that's their crux of it. They were saying that, yeah, we'd like to be in the main event, but at the same time, we don't have to be in the main event. We just want to be given time. We want to have regular matches on television that go 15, 20 minutes. We want to be in semi-main events. We want to be on pay-per-views, having, or premium live events, having these big matches and having the opportunity to have these great matches and do something that tag team wrestling can do in comparison to singles wrestling, which it can't do. And that's the beauty. That's why I love tag team wrestling. That's why I think even tag team wrestling is so different to trios matches, because the psychology is different. The use of the referee is different. You've got more parties involved. The tempo and the pace can be much faster. For instance, in a singles match, when you go to the finish, you can have a long drawn-out finish, which is kind of in vogue nowadays. But in tag team wrestling, you can stretch that out for, you know, almost like a 10-minute stretch of a finish, because you've got so many people and so many different moving parts. So my long-winded point here, I suppose, is that I kind of do expect the Revival to go back to WWE, honestly. Now, I don't think they'd have had as much interest in the past. There have been rumors for the last 18 months, or at least 12 months, I think, if I can recall correctly, about WWE having interest in bringing the Revival back. But I think their perspective was nothing's changed, really, from when we were last there. You know, for us to go back there, it would only really be money. That'd be the reason to go back for, and we can still make very good money on the indies and working AEW events. And obviously we don't know what's going to happen with the Ring of Honor shows. That television deal is coming next year. That television show is coming next year. It hasn't been announced yet, but it is coming, and FTR seemingly are going to be heavily involved in that as they're the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions. So I think they would have probably passed on it, but now they've got a working relationship with Triple H. They understand his booking philosophy when it comes to tag team wrestling. And frankly, it seems crazy to say, considering in the picture right there, they're holding 3 sets of championships, but you could argue they've even been underutilized somewhat in AEW, which is crazy to say, but it is somewhat true. The fact that we've only had, was it 2 FTR versus Young Bucks matches, and they were the number 1 ranked tag team for so long, and they wouldn't get opportunities at the tag team championships was kind of insane. Frankly, they changed the ranking system because of FTR. So I do expect them to go back at some point, possibly at the end of their contracts. I wouldn't be shocked. And look, they're under contract for the remainder of the year, and I think next year as well. And a lot can change in that period of time. This year's evidence of that. So we'll have to wait and see when it comes to FTR/The Revival. One name also being rumored to be returning to WWE is Matt Cardona. Of course, we've heard rumors about WWE having interest in Cardona's wife, Chelsea Green. And could Cardona also be returning to the company? Well, former WWE superstar Matt Cardona, formerly known as Zack Ryder, appears to have shot down rumors regarding a potential WWE return. As I mentioned, a number of released names have made their way back to WWE under the current Triple H regime. Most recently, Emma Tenille Dashwood returned to WWE television on Friday's edition of SmackDown on Fox, answering Ronda Rousey's open challenge. Following reports that WWE is interested in bringing Chelsea Green back, some have speculated we could see Green and her husband Cardona either on Monday Night Raw or Friday Night SmackDown soon. Cardona, though, has indicated this won't be the case, arguing that his WWE persona Zack Ryder is dead. When asked on Twitter if he'd be interested in returning to WWE, Cardona replied, quote, "Zack Ryder is dead. Long live Matt Cardona." Cardona then clarified he is grateful for his time in WWE when a Twitter user argued that nobody would know who he is without Zack Ryder. Cardona tweeted, quote, "You're right. I'm very grateful for that time of my life, but it's over." He has previously admitted, though, that he still has dreams about possibly becoming WWE champion in the future, but stated he wasn't trying to go back to WWE. Honestly, look, at the end of the day, I wouldn't be shocked if he went back. I don't know if it's in his best interest, honestly, though. I've seen the success that Cardona has had outside of WWE on the independent scene and with these smaller companies like GCW. And it was really last year in the summer during that GCW run that he really picked up steam. And he was already working for other companies prior to that. He came into AEW and basically played Zack Ryder. He was Matt Cardona, but he basically played Zack Ryder, and it was much of the same. Nothing really stand out about it. He then went to Impact Wrestling and again was basically Zack Ryder in an Impact Wrestling setting for a while. But it was really that work in GCW, the death match with Nick Gage, the playing up the heel, playing a WWE superstar in an ECW-esque environment, which was done in the 1990s, but hadn't been done in a while. That really got people's attention and people started paying attention. And it was as a heel that he really started to build this momentum, and he carried that over, again, into GCW, but then into Impact, where he turned heel in Impact Wrestling, into the NWA, where he became the NWA World Heavyweight Champion and has had continued success on the independent scene. And I think, was he in the PWI top 10 list, in the PWI 500, which is a credit to him, but I don't see him doing that in WWE, and I think that's probably his thought process. I can't speak for Matt Cardona, obviously, but I would think his thought process would be, I can stay on the indie scene, and I can stay in these smaller companies and be in the main event, and make good money. He makes good money from what we've seen, and he's got a podcast, he's got several outside projects going on, or I could go to WWE, and I'd probably be treated better than I was previously. I'd probably be in the mid-card, not even upper. I'd probably be in the mid-card, and I'd probably make decent money. Or I can be on the indie scene and make a lot of noise. And maybe, just maybe, once these returns have started to dry up, I can then be an option to bring in and have the spotlight on me. It's all about timing. And this is the key thing. I said it with AEW and I'll say it with WWE. It can become in vogue to join onto the train and join onto the list of people making their return to WWE, or last year signing with AEW and showing up and getting that big pop. And it feels like the company you're walking into has buzz, and WWE has a lot of buzz right now, and AEW did last year. Or you can wait. You can wait until those returns have stopped, because eventually it will dry up. The free agent list will dry up, and then you can have your moment. And for me, I don't think now is the right time for Matt Cardona, honestly, to return to WWE. I think there might be a time in the future, but I think at the moment, I think he should probably stay where he is, doing what he's doing, and I think he'll have success, continued success doing that. As I mentioned, I think if he's in WWE, I don't think he gets into that PWI 500 top 10. Not that it matters, all lists are arbitrary and they're all subjective and based on opinion, and the opinion that they generate drives their revenue. But that's for another time. Let's talk about Karl Anderson in New Japan Pro Wrestling. The drama with New Japan and Karl Anderson and WWE and the Never Openweight Championship continues, because New Japan Pro Wrestling has issued an official statement regarding Karl Anderson missing the Battle Autumn event on November 5th. New Japan previously advertised that Karl Anderson would defend his Never Openweight Championship at the Battle Autumn event on November 5th. However, plans changed, as they always can in pro wrestling, when Karl Anderson and Luke Gallows returned to WWE on the October 10 episode of Monday Night Raw, after which they were subsequently booked for a 6-man tag team match at Crown Jewel. The issue is that Crown Jewel is also on November 5th, and it's in another country. Whilst Battle Autumn's in Japan, Crown Jewel's in Saudi Arabia on the same night. I know there can be that travel line, when you fly to Japan and you lose an hour or you go back in time. I don't think this one is possible. I'm not sure they've mastered the art of teleportation just yet, although Elon Musk is doing a lot of crazy stuff at the moment. Gallows and Anderson, though, have posted a video stating that Anderson would not be defending the title against Hikuleo as scheduled, and instead he would be defending the championship on his own time. Initially, New Japan said they intended to strip him of the championship, forcing him to vacate the title. Anderson also defiantly declined to do this, and now New Japan has issued a new statement saying they had no choice but to cancel the planned match for November 5th. This is what New Japan had to say, quote, "Despite extensive efforts by New Japan Pro Wrestling to negotiate with Karl Anderson regarding his scheduled match in Osaka at Battle Autumn on November 5th, New Japan officials have still been met with no response and have been left with no other option but to cancel the planned Never Openweight Championship match. We apologize to fans who had been looking forward to watching Anderson wrestle. After a challenge from Yujihiro Takahashi at the direct request of Hikuleu, Osaka will now see a special non-title singles match between Takahashi and Hikuleu. New Japan holds its champions to the highest standard of professionalism. We deeply apologize for the inconvenience and disappointment caused by this matter." So Anderson, as expected, will not be at Battle Autumn. He will not be wrestling. He will not be defending his Never Openweight Championship. The cynics could say, and they might be right to, that this might have and probably was the plan from the beginning. Reports have indicated that actually relations between New Japan and WWE and Karl Anderson on this matter are actually very good. And I know the New Japan president came out in an interview stating that he was furious with this and he was unhappy and he expected Karl Anderson to show up, this, that, and the other. I am assuming that this was always the expectation, and as I said before, unfortunately for New Japan, Karl Anderson had committed verbally to appearing at the show. That all changed, though, when Karl Anderson signed a written contract on the dotted line that he is now a WWE talent. He is now a WWE superstar, and his bookings have priority with WWE first. And yes, WWE is allowing Karl Anderson to fulfill his remaining bookings. Crown Jewel, whether you like it or not, whether you like the stigma attached to it or not, which there is a lot of it, it's the most profitable event for WWE superstars of the year. Those Crown Jewel shows, or those Saudi shows, have so much money attached and pumped into them that a WWE talent working that show can make a bigger bonus and can make more money for a booking than they could on WrestleMania. They make that much money off it. So, commitments, prior commitments, and verbal commitments be damned. A pro wrestler's life is based on one thing: money. And Karl Anderson and the Good Brothers are going to go where the money is. And the money is in Saudi Arabia for Crown Jewel. So he was never going to miss that show. I think he will, obviously, still face Hikuleo at some point. He will drop the Never Openweight Championship. Possibly they might hold it off until January. And that's going to be interesting to see if the Good Brothers do indeed show up at the Tokyo Dome for Wrestle Kingdom. It's going to be wild because you're going to see a situation where you've got an event that's got New Japan talent, that's got WWE talent in Karl Anderson and Luke Gallows, and AEW talent, because Jon Moxley, Chris Jericho, et al. Will probably be appearing at that event too. So that's going to be very interesting to see. But Karl Anderson will not be at Battle Autumn as expected. Tonight is Monday Night Raw, and a match has been announced for the Halloween episode. And Bianca Belair is looking for revenge. WWE has announced that Raw Women's Champion Bianca Belair will be in action on the October 31 episode of Raw against Nikki Cross. Cross, of course, shedded her Nikki ASH persona and cost Belair against Bayley in a non-title match last Monday on Raw. Belair is set to defend her Raw Women's Championship in a last woman standing match at Crown Jewel this Saturday. In addition to that match, we've got Brock Lesnar on the show and Roman Reigns as well. It's going to be making a rare Raw appearance. We've got a trick or street fight between Matt Riddle and Otis, and the aforementioned Nikki Cross versus Bianca Belair match. It's going to be the last live main roster broadcast before Crown Jewel this Saturday. Of course, SmackDown was already in the can. It's already been taped, so this is going to be a match that we're looking forward to on the show. Finally, it's become a Halloween tradition for NXT in a live event to have a battle royal or certain matches where NXT talent dress up in fancy dress. We've seen in the past, Bayley dressing up as Finn Balor and Balor dressing up as Bayley. Well, we saw this past weekend at an NXT live event in Melbourne, Florida, an AJ Lee cosplay because Cora Jade dressed up as AJ Lee in the match. We also saw her rival, Roxanne Perez, dress up as none other than Bayley, old school Bayley for the event, her old persona of the hugger. And AJ Lee has actually reacted to this on Twitter at the AJ Mendez, saying, "OMG, mother is so proud," and ordering a DNA test. This comes after Cora Jade said, "Shout out to my mother, AJ Mendez." Tellez, obviously dressing up as her favorite superstar there. And it must be said, the similarities actually there to be seen. It's quite interesting, isn't it? So there you go, guys. That's the latest WWE news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe bottom right-hand corner. We're on the road to 9K. I think we're at nearly 8,500. So if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe bottom right-hand corner. Big week coming up. As I mentioned, we've got Crown Jewel Saturday, and it's a Saudi event, which means I can actually watch it without it being the wee hours of the morning. So we're going to be doing a live watch along. We're also going to be doing a post show. Going to be doing a lot more post shows coming forward for the big pay-per-views as we head towards the end of the year. So be sure to subscribe bottom right hand corner. Smash a like on the like button. Let me know your thoughts as always on today's WWE news stories in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon. Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.